Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Shed Podcast in the flesh. We're back together in person, so stay tuned for some business content, some philosophy content, whatever we feel like talking
Maybe
about
a
today.
little chess.
Maybe a little chess. Yeah, we can do some of that. I don't know how in-person chess is going to work, but
I'll just have to go through the effort of putting it on a digital.
yeah, and just move them manually in time.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We could even make an analysis video.
Yeah, it's Christmas, so we got a bit more free time. Maybe we can do some shit like that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I've embarked on a crazy, like my girlfriend and I make each other presents quite a lot. Like most years we'll make something, and this year's one is pretty ambitious. So,
what are you making?
so because I'm building the string art company,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I should probably do some more string art.
Yeah.
So I'm building the Starry Night in string art.
Really? That sounds hard as hell, dude.
Yeah, I think it's gonna look really bad.
How many
But
pins are you
I don't
gonna
know
need?
yet, but it's like
Thousands.
probably 20 centimeters by 15 centimeters.
Okay.
The block of wood I'm
Yeah.
using. So that's the kind of resolution we're looking at.
Yeah, okay.
Probably
gonna be like
a couple hundred nails.
Yeah. Oh, well, if it looks good, it's going to be incredible. She'll love it.
It
but-
won't look good.
yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
But the Starry Night's got lots of like curved features on it.
Yeah.
And string
yeah.
doesn't
it's all,
curve.
it's all swirls. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you've picked like the most difficult painting ever.
I know.
You should do like a Picasso for her. I reckon with like the angular faces, you could do that one.
That would be cool.
Well, it wouldn't be as cool, but
No, it would be pretty cool if
yeah.
you did it well.
maybe.
I'm going to make some kits. Probably it's realistically going to be in like a year's time, but I'm going to make some kits for the website that are, like new kits have dropped, and it'll be like a guitar, a chess piece, a VW camper van. If I can do that without licensing, I don't know if you can. It's pretty old, but I don't know if you can use the logo.
Oh, I see.
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe I get a collab with them.
a collab
But
with
it would be,
VW.
imagine, how like Lego drops sets?
Yeah.
It'd be like that.
That's actually a cool idea. I like that. And also another thing is like if you worked on a really good one, like the Starry Night, and you got like a really good Starry Night, like you could put that on the front page. That could be like
Yeah.
the first thing you see on the website, and people are like, wow, that's awesome. I want to do that.
I want to build that.
Whereas if it's just like a stick man,
Yeah.
it's not going to be as appealing.
Well, I was thinking about like, I want to have it so that users can do. To begin with, it's a blog, right?
Mm.
And then it's going to grow into me selling supplies. But eventually I want it to be kits. And then we've got some supplies still for people that want to free for all. But you know how, like, not many people buy Lego that isn't in a kit.
Yeah.
And people who buy Lego kits, some people want really difficult ones, but most people don't want ones that are really difficult. Like, most people don't want the Titanic or something.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
big and difficult.
Yeah.
So, and in the same way with string art, most people don't want to drill the wood. So they just want to bang the nails in and draw the string. And
Sure.
It's like crochet. You do it while you're watching TV or something.
I get you. So you would the nails would be put into the wood. And you
Nah,
would just do
not
the
e-
string.
I probably wouldn't do that, but I would pre-drill it. So you just basically get a CNC machine and it drills.
The holes, and then they just tap in the nails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't even need to give them a template then.
Yeah.
They can just do
Yeah.
it from like a puzzle. They can do it from the front of the package.
That's cool.
So,
Huh.
and then new kits, new sets just dropped, Sam. So it'll be quite cool. I'm gonna try and make a little
it's
exclusive.
a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I feel like you'll have to practice a lot and get really good at string art
yeah,
because I feel like to have the company, you need to be pretty good at it yourself.
yeah,
right?
for sure. Well,
Um,
luckily my mum is an artist, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
kind of relying on her a bit for some stuff.
So has she done string art?
No, but she's very good at just art in
Picking
general.
it up, yeah.
So yeah, like like with string, it's just like having a pencil, but you can only draw in a straight line between 2 points.
Mm.
So
That's cool, man. That's cool. I can't remember if I've actually ever seen any of your string art before,
I don't know if you have.
but I don't think I've even seen a photo. Some of these are quite impressive when you look up string art. You could also just do like
Just patterns.
spiral pattern ones, yeah, like that's
could
what I'm
do.
seeing here.
I feel like a lot of people like when they have, little bits on the mantelpiece and things in the house. They quite like it if they've made it themselves.
Mm.
So I think this could be a good opportunity. Like, I would love to see a fossil. I'd love to see. I was earlier on thinking about trying to make it a little bit more 3D somehow. I don't know how you do that. There might be ways.
Yeah, I guess longer nails and then
And short nails. Or,
Yeah, and
I
just-
don't know. Yeah. Multi-layered ones would be pretty cool.
That would be sick. Well, yeah, mate, you'll have to keep working on it and let me know how it goes because it's actually quite a cool idea and it doesn't sound like it's big enough of a thing that like there's someone already doing it.
There's a lot of kits available,
Yeah.
but they're built by people like I imagine like my sister doing it, like where they just kind of buy the supplies. It's not a business. They're just kind of putting the kits together, and it's like a fun little side hobby. Whereas this is like a business. So, and like the other day I was thinking about it. I'm literally taking your advice. Like I was literally learning on the podcast a few podcasts ago, because you were like, bro, you should start with one that isn't an invention. Start with something that's like a. And I was like, okay, this is probably a good one.
That was Hormozy, by the way, not me that said that. Just for the record,
It's Barber.
Yeah,
Sam
yeah.
Barber.
Hell yeah. I like that, actually. Well, I can get used to that. But yeah, well, it solves a lot of the issues. Like, obviously, there's still going to be issues like you're going to have to work, like, who's, like, if you're going to mass produce these kits, you know, it's going to be like, okay, I need to know exactly how much string I need of each color and where can I get all the
Mate, that's the fun bit.
That's the fun. Designing them is the fun bit, but then it's like the supply and the logistics of like.
I honestly don't mind that. I think that will be, because I've worked in the warehouse, I was quite an inquisitive temp. Like I was always asking them about the supplies and like costs and margins.
When I was at Prodigy, I was like that.
Were you?
The CEO.
What was Prodigy?
Oh, it was I don't even know if I should have said the name. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not like it's not a secret thing, but it was
out.
I mean, I was doing photo frame. I was doing canvas frames, so I was building the canvas frames, and then they had these really multi-million-pound printers, and it would print out family photo, and then you wrap it around the frame and staple gun it in. So like, you know, like what I mean by canvas photos. Like
yeah. Did you have to make sure it was like level and straight?
Yeah. You had to do all of that stuff. Building the frames was pretty easy. I had a huge machine that you just like they come and you either use the machine to cut the right lengths, which is pretty easy, or it comes with like standard lengths, because quite often it's like 18 by 24 inches or something, and then it's just easy. Put those together, stretch it over, clip it on. But I wasn't asking about that. I was asking all about like the supply chains, and like they were opening a new factory, one in Holland because of Brexit, because they wanted like a cheap way to do it in Europe, and then one in North Carolina for the US market. And so I was constantly asking about like, you know, how that was going and why they were doing it. And
it's crazy when you think of it like yeah, we need a facility that side of the pond that we want to. It's
and then being like, because I knew we got all our wood from Estonia, because I unloaded some of these vans with the Estonian drivers, so I knew the wood was Estonian wood. But then I was like, where are you getting your wood from for the America one? Surely you're not shipping it from Estonia. Like, no, it's coming from like Canada or some shit, or like, you know, it's coming in from across the world but more cheaply from like fucking China or something, like, you know. But I was just constantly, like you say, just being inquisitive basically. So the CEO guy liked me. He'd always come over and be like, oh, the North Carolina thing's going really well. I remember some of my colleagues being like, why does he keep telling you about all those high level business decisions? And I was like, yeah, I'm advising him, you know, which I absolutely was not, but you know. So
honestly, I think that this is a marker. This is like a leading indicator of just having a good career, or just being good in business in the future. Because I was the exact same at the birdseed factory, of just like asking a lot of questions about the high level business stuff. Like, okay, how are you moving into this market? Why don't you do this with this product?
Yeah. And
just learning as much as I can. And then obviously I like to learn about the machine as well. So that'll help a lot for producing stuff. Like if I get my own automated CNC machine or something, it'll be like, okay, this is kind of ground that I've already trodden in a sense.
I feel comfortable knowing that if we do start a business one day, you can handle like the manufacturing side of things, like in terms of not even so much the machines, like that interests me, and like actual factory planning and management interests me, but just in terms of physical product design, I've always feel like I suck at that, and I always feel like you're pretty good at that. So I feel like that's a good thing.
It's the most fun bit, dude. The physical product
to
design.
you.
Yeah, to me, I love that.
Yeah. I'm happy to do more of the admin-y stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the logistics and stuff, but I'll let you do that if you like. So I always said I didn't like marketing. And I said this to like my mentor, and she was like, "Okay, I'll expose you to a bit of marketing then." And I really like marketing. What I hate is the side of marketing where you're doing like search engine optimization, and that bit I don't like. That's fucking boring. Like I'd rather just pay someone to do that shit. I like the like coming up with cool. Like obviously at the really high level of marketing is just branding, like coming up with the good branding decisions and stuff like that. But then the marketing piece is like, what do we put in our emails and shit to grab people, and like adverts to grab people, and that's quite fun. But the SEO is like not fun, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I'll
I
let
don't know.
you do that. If you
Oh
like.
yeah, I'm happy to do that. I've never done it, so I wouldn't know. But it doesn't. I don't like hate the idea of it, to be honest. So I'm happy to just chew glass with that for a little while if that's what needs to happen.
I think a lot of companies outsource it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in a coffee shop for a few hours today, and it was quite interesting because there's obviously a lot of people just sitting in there like kind of working or whatever, and there was this one guy who he was dressed. He looked quite drippy. You know, he was young, probably maybe even younger than us, but he was like dressed in like all these kind of branded stuff, and he was sitting there on his MacBook, and I was looking at his screen because of where he was angled, and I could see that he had a Shopify store, and he was doing drop shipping.
Huh.
And he was literally right in front of me, so I could read his screen. So I was being very nosy. But he had the Shopify store, and he was going on to like the Meta like ad thing. Like he was running ads on Meta, like I guess on Facebook. I don't really know what, maybe Instagram. I'm not sure. But he had his like like Meta affiliate like marketing login on his screen. So I was looking. He was running like 12 different ads. And he had like all these products on the screen. So at first I was like, okay, this guy's kind of a baller.
It's pretty sick.
And then I looked on his Shopify and I saw that his income was 0.
Oh.
And he had spent like several £100 on these like Facebook ads basically. So at first I was like, okay, he's just getting started. Like, can't really hate. Like, you know, he's trying to figure out the dropshipping thing. But then we were there for like 3 or 4 hours, and he had that on his screen for like the first 15 minutes. And then he went on TikTok for like an hour and a half.
Oh my!
And then he was watching Andrew Tate YouTube videos for about an hour. And then he had a nap. And then he left. And I went from being like, fair, this guy's like baller. Like I felt like he was maybe like 20 years old. I was like, this guy's, going for it. Like, and by the end of it, I was like, he's just been fully sucked into like drop shipping, get rich quick. He's like spent all this money on the Facebook ads. I'm not convinced it's going to work because he was in a coffee shop
What
for
were the
4
products?
hours.
Do you know what the products were?
It was all clothing. It was like
Clothing.
it said like
Oh,
jacket or like I can't remember what it said exactly, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
I
like
kind of feel like there are more people with clothing brands than there are people buying clothes.
yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah, honestly. But anyway, not to hate. Maybe he was just having a bad day and he was actually a hustler. But
Maybe. Yeah.
I went from thinking he was a hustler to thinking, bro's just like an Andrew Tate, like drop shipping, like TikTok kid who had a nap in a coffee shop and went home and probably told all his mates that he like was grinding the whole time.
Yeah.
He just did virtually no work. But anyway, I just thought, and then there was another guy trading. And by this point, I was pessimistic, and I was watching him, like, looking at the candlestick charts, and I was just like, I wonder if this fucker actually trades, or whether he's just like the other guy that I was looking at, who's just like being like, oh, look at this trade, and then, never making any money, which is what most people experiences is with trading, right? So
I was thinking about trading earlier. It's definitely one of those things where, for the majority of people that get involved with it, it's just a complete gimmick.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you got to think about, like, if you think about the people making tons of money trading, the only way they can make tons of money trading is to have tons of people sucking at it.
Yeah,
like they're taking
it's
their
zero
money.
Sum.
Yeah, it's exactly.
But
it's zero sum.
It's also zero sum against the banks.
It is, but
good luck beating the banks.
Yeah,
is one way
exactly.
Of looking at it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, Saxon trades, and he's been doing it a long time.
Yeah, and he's making money, and it's cool.
It.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm not
complete bullshit.
No, it's not. But when after that experience of watching this Shopify guy,
yeah, you can see,
and then watching the guy trade, I was like, I wonder if this kid's just losing like hundreds of quid because he bought some like trading course for like £800, and now he's like trading.
I think though, drop shipping for a lot of newbies who are following gimmicks is probably a better thing to try and fail at than Forex.
Yeah, I would agree.
I feel like you'll probably learn more.
Yeah, you would, because it's all, you've got to do marketing, you've got to do sales, you've got to like get in contact with companies in China that are producing all the wares, and I think you'll
learn some skills.
It must be one of the best ones. I mean, I'd have to
maybe like best gimmicks.
Yeah, best gimmicks. Yeah,
but again, like we call it a gimmick. Some people make loads of money doing it.
No, definitely,
being that middle
definitely.
Man.
Again, I don't want to like come on this podcast and hate, but I do think there's also like, because there are tons of podcasts talking about the kind of stuff we talk about, right? But I feel like a lot of them are more attracted to like the aesthetic of like, I'm a business guy, but it's kind of just a fashion statement more than it's anything else. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people who are just like, I do like drop shipping or like Amazon like affiliate marketing or some shit, and I'm just like, I don't know. I feel
maybe we could just be like, as we grow,
Yeah.
into our business/career, we could just be that podcast where we're at the actual nitty-gritty of business.
I
We
think
actually
that's
talk about the actual shit.
once
Maybe
this,
it's too boring for people to listen to.
well, I do think like business and self-help and all that kind of stuff has become so like McDonald'sified over the last like since the pandemic probably, like in terms of the amount of people who like want to get into it and want to do like the whole like Bali thing, like working on my laptop on the beach kind of lifestyle. And that's like a very appealing thing. And I think like the whole space is like saturated with a lot of people who are happy to push that like lifestyle, but maybe aren't necessarily qualified, or even if they are qualified, their fans aren't being drawn to it for the right reasons. And these creators kind of know what they're doing. They know that they're like stirring up all these young guys, being like, you can make like 50 grand a month doing like following my course.
They're the people you've really got to worry about. When you think of, this is what I was going to say actually about dropshipping and Forex, is there's a lot of people who make a lot of money from dropshipping and Forex that don't do dropshipping or Forex because they sell courses instead.
Yeah, they do course
They're
selling.
the people you got to watch out for
the
most.
For sure.
There's one on YouTube that pisses me off. I get ads from him all the time, and he's like, welcome to my house in like north of England where it's really big. Like here's my 300-acre estate.
Yeah.
And today I went out on my bike, and then he starts talking about a trade he took in the morning.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do much digging on the internet to find out it's a complete fucking scam.
Of course it is.
I'm surprised that YouTube allow it.
Yeah. The thing is, he's probably selling a trading course,
Yeah,
and so it's not illegal. Do you know what I mean?
It's
just
illegal.
it like if he's actually selling what he says he's selling, it's just that he's hijacking the limbic system of all these like young people who are just like, whoa, like my own quad bike on my own farm, and like he's got like
30 grand
3
in the
bitches
morning
sitting on the back of the quad bike and like whatever it is, and he's like, I worked for 10 minutes today and like I don't need to work again now until like New Year. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, like obviously that would be a little bit extreme, but like
I just think for that though, because there's definitely ads that are like that. I'd get so bored. I want to work. I want to like build some cool products or something. I listened to this great thing that Jeff Bezos said earlier on Horrible LinkedIn. We're hating today, but to be fair, LinkedIn does suck. But
it does.
Good old Jeff was talking about mercenaries, and I can't remember the other word he used. There was another word, but basically, there's people who like create
like private defense companies kind of thing.
Mercenaries were in this context were like people who do stuff for the money. So like they come into a business. What was that games company you were talking about? They make video games, and you said that they really don't care about the customer much. They try and just produce. They want money. They like build the games
most
for the
of
money.
them. Was it Take-Two Interactive who owns GTA?
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
So they're like after like the mercenaries. Jeff was basically saying never do the best. The best people are always, I can't remember the other word he was using, basically inventors.
Yeah, the value creators. People,
the people who just like are doing it because they're super interested in what they're doing.
Yeah, they're like obsessed with advancing the field or something. Like they're just passionate.
So I thought it was really interesting. I think it was Hormozy, maybe it was someone else. It could have been Richard Branson actually, talking about passion and all of that, because I've heard so many times people are like, oh, follow your passion, and then you hear people saying like, absolutely don't follow your passion, it fucking ruins it, and all this shit. I think it was Hormozy was saying, just do a business and it will become your passion if it makes lots of money. So like the passion comes second. So it'd be like you could get into screws, and if it starts making you loads of money, you'd be the most passionate dude about screws.
Hell yeah.
You fucking love screws.
Yeah.
They'll be like, you want to learn all about the pitch, diameter, or whatever, the aperture of a screw. I don't know what the words are.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. And I think people have to be passionate about everything in every field and every industry that you could possibly imagine. But at the same time, like if you haven't developed like a really like refined skill in something, your passions are probably going to be in something that like appealed to you as a kid, so to speak. Like it's easy to be passionate about like being an astronaut or a footballer or something because it's like the appeal is obvious. But then there also has to be people who are like passionate about like cushions.
Yeah.
And make tons of money from cushions, and they're like the cushion guy in the entire world. Like if you want knowledge to do with
like,
cushions,
think about how much easier it is to be the number one cushion guy compared to the number one astronaut.
Yeah.
Like so much easier.
So much easier because yeah, there's just not there's so little competition. Like you
Yeah.
can be a big fish in a small pond, and have so much more success than trying to be the biggest fish in like a fucking ocean.
Big ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how long would it take me to be in the top 100 string art people?
Probably not that long.
A couple years, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the help of your darling mother and lots of practice, you become really good at the art side
I
of
hope
things,
so.
and then
It should be good.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's interesting. It's like one of the. It's like I remember Tim Ferriss saying in the 4 Hour Work Week, he's like, if you read 3 books on a topic, you're in
I
like
remember
the top
reading this.
0.1 or 0.01%. I can't remember exactly which order of magnitude it was, but it was like
In at least the top 10.
top
10.
0.1.
We're
Top
at top
0.1. Yeah, it was
0.1%.
definitely at least top
Whoa,
0.1.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that really true?
Or maybe it was 1. Maybe it was 1%. It wasn't. It was definitely not 10%.
I can
might have
believe it
been
though.
1.
Imagine reading 3 books on Rome.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like you definitely know more than Rome than like the thing is with the internet is you think everyone's like knowledgeable about shit, but like
They just Googled it, bro.
yeah, or whatever it might be. Even if they are an expert, it's like okay, but that's why they're on the podcast because they are actually an expert. Whereas like in a room of 100 random people, I would fancy my chances to be in the top 10 for like Rome knowledge or something.
Yeah.
Just because I have read a little bit about it. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like the average person, maybe not Rome. I
Maybe
don't know
we
what-
should go to some like, what are they called? Where you go and it's like a trivia question, like a quiz night. What are they called?
well, like a pub quiz.
Pub quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to go to a pub quiz.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I did one this term actually. It was a bar quiz actually at my college.
How
but
did you do?
I was only there for like a few rounds because I was busy, but there was a geography round and like geography's my jam. Like what country borders this country? I'm like, boom, I know that.
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff. So I did well in that round, and then the
I
next
hate
round
it when it gets
sucked
to
in.
football. I
Yeah,
can't do anything.
yeah, football or like just like one of the other rounds was like showbiz.
Yeah.
And the answer was like Jennifer Lopez. I was like,
I don't know,
I
yeah.
couldn't name a single Jennifer Lopez song. So there's different fields that you might be good at. But what was I gonna say?
I like
Oh,
the ones where they play the first few seconds of a song and you have to figure out what it is. But
mm.
obviously you have to know the song. So that's
You
fine.
do, yeah. I don't know. I'm not very good at pub quizzes. Like unless I get lucky with the topic. And Rome wasn't a good example. I don't actually know very much about Rome. But point is like being in the top 1%. This goes back to what we were saying about the podcast. So for those of you who don't know out there, we were discussing after the last episode that apparently if your podcast has 21 episodes, you're in the top 1% of all podcasts ever in terms of number of episodes. So we're on like what 11 now, maybe,
Yeah.
including the ones that never got uploaded.
No, more than that. Without the ones that never got up. That's like 14 probably.
Oh, really?
my
Okay,
guess.
we're getting close then. So we're at least halfway
Yeah.
to being in the top 1% of all podcasts, which sounds ridiculous. Cause
Maybe that's what we should put in our intro.
yeah, top 1%
Welcome
podcast.
to the top 1% of podcast.
Well, it's true. It's true. No one can say it's not.
That's true. Yeah.
Not in terms of views, though. I would say probably maybe bottom 1%, but yeah.
Nah, I wonder. Yeah, the distribution on that must be pretty mean as well.
Yeah.
Right?
The other thing Tim Ferriss said, I remember, is like he's been on some like news shows, like the news like breakfast shows or whatever. That he's been on some of those as an expert in like really random fields, and he's like, if you've just read 3 books on a topic, you can get onto like BBC Breakfast as an expert on a
That's
topic,
funny.
because you don't actually need to be an actual sanctified expert who's like written papers and things. You just need to be able to talk about it. And like you say, if they have a Rome segment on BBC Breakfast or something, and you're in the top 1% because you've read 3 books, you're probably qualified to go on TV and talk about it.
99% of people are going to be like, "Damn, this guy
I
knows
didn't
some
know that.
shit."
Yeah, exactly.
And then that 1% they'll be like, "This guy's a fucking idiot. What's he
yeah.
doing?"
yeah. That was strictly true.
Yeah.
But like they don't need it to be that accurate, really.
No.
In a lot of cases. So
Yeah. I was gonna say, I remember my sister memorized the height of Mount Everest in feet and meters
Okay.
just for pub quizzes.
Really, that's
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah, that's what you need to know.
Yeah.
That's that kind of shit. There's a guy at my college, University Challenge, the TV show. Oh, I
Mhm.
told you about this guy actually. I don't know if it was on the air or not, but he so in Cambridge and Oxford they have each college has its own team rather than competing as Cambridge or Oxford. He was telling me he can't go on the show because it clashes with something, or I can't remember what. But he said, so you get 60. If you watch the show, it's like
Nah.
really hard questions. Like if
Okay.
you're watching it in a half an hour long episode, you might get like 3 questions right. Like,
Whoa.
really hard questions. It'd be like, under the reign of this Indian king in the 14th century, like, his second wife was known for, like, poisoning one of the eunuchs or some shit. And I was like, what was her name? It would be like really niche
Whoa.
questions. And when you get one, you're like, I'm the king. Anyway, they got 60 sample questions to like vet them for the show, and he got 58 out of 60.
Dude.
And the next highest got like 28 or something.
This guy got a chip in his brain.
He's so smart. He's like a freak. Like, he's just, in terms of general knowledge, he's like, and he's great because if I see him, I'll be like, yo, Jack, like, what's this thing? Like, who was king then or whatever? And he'll just like reel it off. Do you know what I mean? Like, but anyway,
he's born for University Challenge.
he was, but like, just in terms of general knowledge, he is a king. Can't even remember why I brought this fucker up now. It's just interesting.
Mate, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We should get him on.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's what I said to you. It was either at the end of the last episode or it was after we stopped recording, but he would be a good guest.
How many podcasts till we start rambling and saying the same shit over and over?
Yeah, I was thinking about that just now, but I was also thinking about Hormozy being like, that actually doesn't matter. And like, he had his gym podcast.
If you flip that business book over I gave you,
Yeah,
the business one,
yeah. I'm flipping it over.
you reading that? Which side is it? There's a quote on the front and back.
It says, be stubborn on vision but flexible on the details. And then it says, we need to be reminded more
That
than
one.
we need to be taught.
That's Hormozy.
That is exactly the quote I was going to try and articulate.
Yeah.
We need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And literally a few minutes ago, we repeated something that I was like, we definitely spoke about this like 5 or 6 podcasts ago. And then I just thought about that quote.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's fine. Because
It's
no
all
one's going to watch our
And
podcast
even
anyway.
if they do, we
Yeah.
wasted what? We haven't even wasted their time. They're just learning about it again.
Yeah, exactly. And if they're the kind of people, we don't have any fans at the moment, like actual fans. But imagine if we were getting like 10k, 100k views on an episode. The people who watch every episode and go, oh, we spoke about that like 5 episodes ago, are like obsessed enough with the show to not care that it's being reiterated because it clearly resonates with them. So,
Have you ever heard of NPS?
no.
Net Promoter Score?
Nope.
So, it's a measure that businesses use, and it's actually got some pretty serious problems with it that I don't know how you solve. But basically, what it is it puts your customers into 3 categories. They're either promoters. I don't know what the middle category is called. It's like basically they're indifferent. They just use your product. They don't really care whether it's your product or someone else's.
Yeah.
Promoters love your product and they'll promote it to other people. And then you have demoters, I think they're called. And they're basically like from, imagine you're on a scale of 1 out of 10, 7, 8, 9 are maybe promoters, or just 8, 9, 10 are promoters.
Yeah.
And then you have maybe 6, 7 neutral. And
Yeah.
then from 6 below,
Are all
is-
demoters.
yeah. They detractors, I think they call them.
Detractor, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're called the detractors. And yeah, those people those like maybe 10% that listen to the podcast would be
Yeah.
promoters. They'll be like, fuck yeah, Joe Rogan's talking about bears again.
Yeah,
I fucking
exactly.
love it.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine how many stories have been repeated on that show.
So many.
But it also gets lost in the noise of the fact that he's got like 2,000 episodes or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's that
Yeah.
other side of it where it's like even the hardcore fans probably haven't heard the story repeated that many times because how many people listen to every minute of Joe Rogan?
Yeah, like if we said the same thing every podcast for 10 podcasts, I think that would be not good.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
If we said the same thing in 10 podcasts over 2,000, that would probably be fine.
Yeah.
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 That'd definitely be fine.
100%. And yeah, I think if it's a good message, you might as well repeat it.
Yeah.
We need to be reminded more than we can be taught. More than we need to be taught. I butchered the quote. We need to practice our speaking skills. That should be in the other
The
one.
articulate. Yeah, I forgot about that as well. On our Notion, we have a shared Notion. We've got some learning pathways. I don't know what to call them. Haven't we? For
We have.
articulation. We're a bit busy at the moment, to be fair to us.
We are.
But we
I
focus.
tried. I've not been doing it in my day to day particularly, but the one I picked was storytelling. We basically, because people don't know this, but we wrote down a list of skills, didn't we? That we were like, if we could improve at these skills, it would improve the podcast. It was like all the things we felt like we should be better at in terms of podcasting. And one of the skills that we agreed that you have to be quite good at is storytelling. So I picked that one, and that was why I remember at 2 points in the last podcast, I thought, I'm going to start rambling here. And then I was like, nah, actually, it's just an opportunity to like tell the story properly. So the story about me and the onsen in Japan and almost dying of a heart attack. Well, not almost dying of a heart attack, but having like cold shock and freaking out. I was like, I'm just going to tell this story as well as I can because I was like,
Dude, it's great because I didn't even notice.
yeah,
I didn't even think about it.
that's good. And then the other one was my mate in Africa. That story. Like I was trying to I'm just going to go all in and try and tell this properly, basically. And I was like, I'm not going to like, maybe I'm rambling, maybe I'm like stealing all the airtime from Jamie here and he's going to be like, fucking round off the story. But I was like, I'm just going to give it a go at telling the story.
Nah, dude, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And also, it works perfectly with what I'm trying to do, which is active listening.
Good point.
So,
yeah.
But what I was talking about with my girlfriend is if you get really good at storytelling and I get really good at the like listening and coming up with good questions.
Then it'll be my podcast, bitch.
Well, no, it'll be your podcast until we have a guest.
Yeah.
And then
I need
you'll
to
be
be an
some
active
fucking
listener.
old man rambling while we've got a guest on.
Good
But
point.
Anyway, I was gonna say if one of us is really good at one and one of us is really good at the other, we will be able to tell if what the other person's like shit at. So that will be a marker that we're actually getting good. Like a marker that you're getting good at storytelling is when I tell a story and you're like, Jamie, you've got it all wrong. That's not how you tell stories.
Yeah.
And the same thing where I'm like, bro, that's such a shit question, or whatever.
And I hadn't thought about it, but I'm glad we didn't pick the same skill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But which you've just made me realize that. Like, I don't think, at least for me, it wasn't conscious. Like, oh, we should pick different skills so we can like mentor each other later on. But it's actually
just
a really nice
out that
point.
way.
Yeah,
I think it's really good. Yeah, we've got to probably put a little bit more time into that and doing some podcast branding, and then I think that's a good next step.
Yeah.
For the shed.
Let's talk about the next few steps for the shed. So we need to do. I want to get video down because I don't think that's that hard, and I think it's a big quality of life improvement if we've got video.
I thought it was very interesting seeing the setup of my buddies. I could call my buddies now because I met them. My buddies at in Birmingham with their podcast. So they had 2 cameras and those massive booms with the Shure SM7Bs on the end. No headphones. So
I wonder if, and this is going to be pretty boring for people listening because they can't see the room, but I wonder if we sat here and here, and then we could have the cameras a bit further away.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. Like if we shifted stuff around, which would be fine, and we had a chair here and a chair here, kind of facing inwards a bit, so that we're not like shoulder to shoulder specifically, and then cameras down there. Because I was just thinking, part of what made that setup quite good was they had so much space.
yeah.
This room is not that big. It's the shed. Do you know what I mean? Not the
Okay,
fucking
but they are in the
chalet.
corner of that vault. It's a vault, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, that's a cool place for a podcast.
It is a really cool place. I'm kind of sad I didn't think of it, but it's pretty good on them. It's
yeah.
really cool.
Also, I'm not fucking driving to Birmingham.
No, that is the worry because we are going hardcore on the build 100 pots. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we said this last time as well, maybe off air. We're going hard on the build 100 shit pots, and the last one will be better than
Yeah.
spending the same amount of time building one pot.
Yeah.
Okay, they're probably going on the one pot, close to the one.
Sure.
Build a few podcasts and make them as good as we can,
Yeah.
but they'll actually probably not be as good in the.
Well, I wonder if we will actually be better hosts because of it
I hope so.
than them.
But they were pretty good.
no, they were really
his
good.
intro was
They
good.
were really good.
But then, like my friend there, not them, but another friend in Birmingham, said like, "Did you listen to that?" Like, as in like, it was a bit kind of negative about it. And I was like, "Dude, we're not their audience. We're not gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
It's not for us." And then she was like, "Oh yeah, that's fair."
Yeah.
So
Nice.
you have to really keep that in mind when, like, with Shazza's podcast, none of us are his audience. So why are we listening to? Why would we comment? We're not for him to. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine selling, I don't know, like deck chairs to you right now. You could be like, I don't want a fucking deck chair. Stop giving me deck chairs.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And like my buddy Pierce, who you just said hi to, funny enough, on the phone, but he, you know, has been taught, and he's not necessarily done it, but he's done a lot of thinking about, you know, making, I think YouTube videos specifically was what he wanted to do. But he, you know, is talking about like, you know, given that we're obviously pretty shit at podcasting compared to good podcasts right now, and given that not even necessarily the podcast skill, but our life experience means that like a large percentage of the podcast listening community probably wouldn't be that interested because they're probably older than us and more experienced anyway. But he was saying like what our like USP is kind of at this age is we can talk more relatably to people who are maybe 18, 19, 20 right now, because we've got a couple of years on them.
Yeah.
And like, if you imagine someone who's 24 who's gone down the same path as us, you'd be like, you would want to listen to what they had to say, just because they've had a little bit extra
And
experience.
they're closer to us. It's like that age-old thing of, if you listen to successful people all the time, like they're super successful in business, they'll start telling you what they're doing now and not what they were doing at the start.
It's no use to you.
Yeah. So, true. But then also, there's no telling that we're going to be successful.
No,
whatever we're doing.
and I'm not suggesting that. I just mean, I think, basically what you just said. Like, if someone's really far up the success spectrum, they're
over the hill.
They're over the hill, and their thoughts and their problems are not going to be anything like your thoughts or your problems. So you can still learn from them. But anyway, he just made that point, and I think
it's a pretty good point. Thank you, Piers.
Yeah, no, I just think you do have to be aware of who your audience is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about a bear claw I saw the other day.
Okay. Little Joe Rogan switch up there. It's about DMT after this, yeah.
Yeah. It's only because we were talking about A, fossils, and B, Joe Rogan. So, literally yesterday, there's a fossil shop in London near the British Museum. And I just bumped into it one time. I was like, oh, this is cool. Went in there. And yeah, they had this fucking cave bear fossil claw in there. It's a claw of a cave bear. So cool. And they had a femur from a mammoth.
Damn.
They had crazy. like a proper chomping tooth. What are they called? The ones that chomp like
the saber-toothed tigers? Oh.
No, from a mammoth.
I see.
It was like a
molar.
A molar. That's it. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had loads of little shells and stuff as well, and things like fish in like slabs of slate they've been fossilized in, and I'd love to have that in the bathroom. Don't you think it'd be sick?
It would be really cool.
One of your tiles just has like a fossilized fish from 54 million years ago. That's literally what it said, 54 million years.
54 million.
Yeah.
And it's just on your floor in your bathroom.
Yeah, just some little fish.
That's crazy.
And there was one in there where it's like two fish, and obviously they died right next to each other, but it looks like they're swimming next to each other, so it's pretty cool.
And the actual fish that existed like a long ass time ago.
Yeah, I mean they've been replaced by minerals, but they are the shape of them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Wowee. Yeah, that's cool.
I fucking love fossils, bro.
Yeah.
They're so cool. Yeah. I nearly bought one.
Really?
Yeah.
You get like the big ammonite. I know somebody's got it's like a snail shell look. You know, like very stereotypical, like very kind of iconic.
They're cool.
Shape. But you would want
something. But I want
more.
like a bear.
Well, like a lot of people do. It's probably quite an expensive thing to buy for yourself, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the bear claw was about 260 quid.
Oh, I didn't think it was as expensive as I thought.
The mammoth femur was like
a grand, surely.
Yeah, it was like $2,500 or something like that. And there was another thing in there. There was it was a jug from somewhere in China, a jug that was the shape of a ram. It's like a ram jug.
Cool.
And that was like nearly $2,000. It was quite a big jug. And I don't know why. It's obviously not a fossil. It's just some artifact that they were selling.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. And they had loads of little like figures in there as well, like little figurines they were selling that they were also like
little Chinese ones or something.
Yeah, little artifacts. They probably had coke in them.
Probably. Yeah, no, but those kind of things. Yeah, a lot of old Chinese shit goes for so much money. A mate of mine has a Ming vase. You know, like the classic white.
I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, it has a Ming vase. I don't know how much it was. He got it as a present.
I thought it got smashed in the earthquake, or am I making that up?
No, it didn't get smashed in the
earthquake. That's
good. No, we bought him a teapot, actually, a traditional Chinese teapot that got smashed in the earthquake, which I might have told you, which is same guy, funnily enough. But no, if he had lost this Ming vase, that would have been a calamity, because I don't know how much he got it. I mean, it was a present.
He could have turned it into one of those kintsugi ones.
Yeah. What with the gold?
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
we're doing that in a few weeks. With work, it's like a social event.
That's cool.
So, yeah, that'll be a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's a sick thing to do, actually. That'll be a really cool little thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna make myself a bowl. I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously it's
aluminium or some shit. Yeah.
It probably has got like gold in. They make gold-plated stuff really cheap. I don't know how they do it, because there's not that much gold in the world.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You seen that chart of how much gold there is? It's like you stack it up. It's like less than a football field or something.
Really?
Of gold, just in like gold bars.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So if it's like gold leaf, like gold plated, it's like a really thin veneer of gold.
Yeah, it must be.
Also, apparently, like solid gold shit is apparently really, it's like too malleable to actually be used for a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
stuff.
a soft metal, isn't
It's
it?
very soft. Like solid gold rings and shit get dented so easily, and when you've paid so much for it, it's
Yeah,
like
fuck that.
it's not worth it. You wouldn't wear it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
there it is. All that shit's pretty interesting.
Imagine just like a meteor hit Earth that was just pure gold.
Yeah.
Like the gold price
Yeah.
would just plummet.
Well, apparently, like, yeah, it would. Apparently, like I read somewhere, and this is like I can't remember where I'm pulling out my arse, some article or some shit about how, like, the first trillionaires on the planet will be the guys who start mining asteroids. Like when we have enough, when our rocket technology is good enough that we can get loads of shit into space for cheap, the people who go to the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, there's like millions of times the amount of minerals in this asteroid belt that exist on the entire Earth. So once it gets to the point where we can just mine all these asteroids, there will be so much gold and so much of every rare metal that we need for any purpose.
You know what else there'll be loads of?
What?
Energy.
Energy.
I was thinking the other day about hydrogen fuel cell cars, engines. And my dad's been going on about water engines. I'm like, this doesn't make sense with the law of physics. Like, water is such a stable compound. So you have to literally break a couple laws of physics to try and get energy out of water.
Is it not making it? Like, is it not hydrogen plus oxygen? Like, it's hydrogen fuel and water comes out? Or is
it 2H?
I don't know.
So the chemical reaction, I don't know how they do it, but it's like 2H2 plus O2 equals 2H2O is the hydrogen fuel cell reaction. And that's exothermic, right? So you get loads of energy out.
Yeah.
And then you have to put the same amount of energy in to do it backwards as per laws of physics.
Yeah.
So what it is essentially a battery. If you have to put loads of energy into water to turn it to hydrogen. Yeah. So that's your energy that you're putting into the battery. Yeah. And then now you've stored it as hydrogen, you can use it in the hydrogen fuel cell. It's not a very efficient battery. It's a terrible battery because A, our processes aren't very efficient, and B, hydrogen's really hard to store. Like you have to store it in like pressurized tanks.
It leaks through shit, doesn't it? It can leak through the lattice of the tank and all this crazy shit because they're small. Yeah. Yeah.
But something about hydrogen is it's like one of the most abundant elements in the universe. If not the most. Is it the most?
It must be the most, right?
I think it's like being one proton.
Yeah.
What's it called when it's two protons?
Deuterium?
Deuterium, something like that, yeah. Anyway, so I was thinking about how if you...
Proton and neutron. Two protons is helium.
Oh, yeah.
A-level chemistry. We're going back in time here. Anyway, sorry, that was
the shed just got real nerdy.
Yeah, it did. Anyway, you were saying. Active listening, I'm working on it.
I was going to say, like, if you could go out there and grab hydrogen from somewhere, bring it back, use hydrogen fuel cell cars, have you not just solved energy?
I guess. Easier said than done, probably. That might be.
You would be producing more water in our atmosphere, though, and you'd be using up oxygen. So that might have some implications.
That might, if we got to a really big scale. Also, I think water is technically a greenhouse gas. It's just not a very reflective one, so it's not that big of a deal. But
I've definitely had debates with people over it being a greenhouse gas. It is. I think though, if we had like all CO2 that we're outputting at the moment was H2O, we'd have like no problem.
Definitely.
I don't know if that's true. That might be bullshit.
I think it's definitely less of a problem than CO2. Yeah. But I think it's technically a greenhouse
Just be
gas.
a few more clouds, bro.
Yeah.
Rain
of rain.
More.
Yeah. Well, we'd have to move out of this country, but other than that, it would be fine.
Yeah. Maybe it would cause like mass flooding.
Yeah, maybe. Last fact about hydrogen fuel cells and like how you're saying they can be used as batteries. I know on the space station they use them because as well as it being a battery, they can produce oxygen for the crew to breathe, or if they need more water for the crew to drink, they can just reverse the process and drink some of the water, if that makes sense. So it's just
pretty smart. When you can drink the waste.
You can drink the waste.
The byproduct.
Exactly, yeah. And make energy or store energy as the water and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's
But you just have to deal with the problem of storing something that doesn't want to be hydrogen.
Yeah. And it's
And it's super flammable.
Yeah, it's super reactive with everything, right?
But then that is fuel. So,
True. true. But I think it's a particularly reactive one, though.
It's
Yeah.
a pressurized explosive, basically.
Yeah, and they use it to fuel rockets as well, don't they? But they have to keep it liquid and all this shit. So the tanks are like minus 200 and something degrees and
So,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I remember learning all about that. Obviously KSP, but from Bezos again. And I remember him saying that in the future he thinks Earth will be a place where it'll be like a cool place to hang out, but you can't expend much energy here. And if you want to expend loads of energy and use as much energy as you want, you'll have to be on like some kind of space station thing or whatever.
He's like a space station guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't like the Mars plan because Elon got the TM on it, I think. So he's doing like the other plan.
Well, doing Mars is like really difficult. I think space station's much easier to do, from what I have learned.
Yeah. Maybe to get like a million people, though, surely Mars is easier.
I don't know, dude. Mars is like... The biggest problem with Mars is the radiation.
Mm.
Well, maybe it's not. From what I have learned.
I
know jack shit about Mars, really. But the radiation that they get is like pretty bad.
Yeah. Whereas you can build a nice hull that's radiation proof on a space station, presumably. Like big lead-lined Coke cans that people live in. That kind of thing, you know.
They could still be cool. You could still have like trees and shit. Maybe.
Yeah. Have you seen that film Elysium? Did you ever see that one?
Yeah.
Matt, yeah. Do you remember the space? It was like a huge ring, and like people living. It was like Beverly Hills residences, but then because it's like you're inside of an artificial gravity ring, so like the it goes up the wall and over the ceiling and comes back round. Cause
kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy, but it looks fucking cool. I was like, that would be an awesome thing to see, but we're probably a bit old for that. I feel like, you know.
Yeah, maybe in a few generations.
Maybe.
I don't know. Things speed up. Things do speed up.
They do, and we're right near the singularity, right? We're right near the point where it just goes completely vertical, and we're all just like,
yeah.
But who knows if we'll actually see that or not, or whether we'll. It also depends if longevity medicine and stuff comes a long way.
It'll also only happen if someone does it. So we got to be.
Let's do it, bro.
You know the whole be the change. Yeah. We have to be the.
That's a big task to put on your
Mars.
back. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, but people have to do it, bro.
Yeah,
people got to do it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think many people grow up thinking that they're gonna be like. Maybe people do, but they're gonna invent the next like crazy tech or do the next.
Yeah, probably not.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah, we'll see. I feel like I've slightly abandoned the STEM path. I don't know if that's like a little bit of a tall order at this point in my life but I'm so interested in all that kind of stuff.
For real?
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it.
No,
you're a smart dude.
I agree up to a point, but I also think with like ultra high level engineering problems.
I don't even agree. I honestly think that you can go ahead and pick up a textbook about the topic, like one specific for that. Like imagine a module.
Yeah.
And then you just study that module, the details that you need.
Yeah.
Talk to the experts and learn as much shit as you can.
Yeah.
Like you can get up to speed on you won't be a renowned physicist because you're doing like you won't know everything about all sorts of physics. But if you just focus in on like a really specific problem, you can probably do some shit. And also the biggest thing about like being coming up with ideas is just having different experience to other people that normally come up with the ideas. So if you just come in from the outside as someone who like normally just fucking speaks Chinese and jacks off, and then you go into some like
sounds
physics
like me.
Environment.
Sorry, go on.
Go into some physics environment, then you've got the experience in some other sector that they haven't, and then some novel insight.
Yes, I completely follow the argument. I just don't know if I'm as optimistic, but I think there's a decent chance you're right. I'm not saying it's impossible.
I think part of the reason that I'm like that about it is because my dad is quite the opposite. He's like, oh no, you need to have done a fucking degree and everything to do anything. And I just don't agree.
No.
So, and just from my experience of learning in other topics, like just you can learn a lot of shit just by reading. You
can. And also I think like the ability to ask targeted questions to AI is so big. Like just like any unbelievably specific question, you can't do it with Google where you can be like, exactly when did this happen? Why did it happen? How does it link to this? Like you can't do that with Google search.
No.
Like, you have to trawl through papers and you've got to read about 10 before you even find the topic that you want to like read. Whereas, I don't know, I just think our ability to learn highly advanced shit about any topic is got to be one of the biggest things that AI has brought us thus far.
For sure. It's definitely good at getting you up to speed with others. I don't know how good it is at pushing the bound. I think it starts to get a bit blurry when you start to push the boundaries. Like, it's not... honestly, isn't... It's very, like, knowledgeable, but not very intelligent. I don't know if... what do you think?
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's not all the way there. It's not, like, full-on, like, endgame AI. But I don't know. I don't push the boundaries that often in my life, if you know what I mean. Like there's not that many things that I want to know the answer to. Well, there are things I want to know the answer to, but I'm aware quite often that there's no way it's going to know the answer to that because no one knows the answer to that kind of thing.
Imagine you ask it like, "What's the meaning of life?" and it just replies, and you're like, "Oh shit, that is the meaning of life."
Just get
Everyone
enlightened
agrees,
and you ascend from your human form.
Yeah, everyone fucking agrees. This is the meaning of life.
The
AI
perfect
figured it out.
sentence. It's just like you see it and you start crying. Yeah.
You become a god.
Yeah, it's just like how yeah. No, I don't know. I think, obviously, yeah, shit like that, it's not going to be able to do, maybe ever, but certainly for a very long time. But I think, like, if you wanted to learn, like, fucking intense rocket equation, like, rocket science type stuff, it could teach you that.
Yeah.
It could teach you that. There's no reason why it can't. Up to, like, the real cutting edge, where obviously it gets a little bit less useful. But I don't know. I'm not at that cutting edge that often in my life, to be honest.
That's where the cool shit happens. Bro.
Yeah, that's where the cool shit happens. But all I'm saying is you can build up to
it for sure.
Up to that,
no, I agree.
Cutting edge so much quicker than you ever could before.
Yeah.
I have a question actually for you. Kind of relates to AI, relates to what you're doing at the moment. It's a bit of a hard question, but it just came to me earlier today. I was wondering, do you think you learning CSS, given that things like Squarespace and Wix and all those kind of websites exist, and you know what I'm about to ask, but to give you a bit of context, like I've heard people say to me before, like, what's the point in learning Chinese? Like, translation software is so good. Like, I could do most of the parts of my degree just by typing into ChatGPT because it would be like a translation task. ChatGPT would complete my homework in less than a second, right? And I've done that before just to see it. And it's like, okay, there's an argument there. It's like, if it's almost already completely replaceable with an AI model, what's the point in getting a degree in it? And now I happen to think that there are plenty of cool applicable skills of knowing the language that you can't get if you've just got AI in your hands. So I'm not necessarily saying it's useless, but how do you think about the need to learn CSS, given that you can kind of cut the corner and have this really beautiful website with all these functions on it just by paying a little bit of money?
I think I've got 3 answers.
Awesome. Let's hear them.
So the first is in line with what you're saying, which is there's benefits to learning the skills, like in and out. It's like simple. A simplified example is mathematics. Like, everyone has a calculator in their pocket, but it helps to be able to do matrices or something yourself if you're in a field where it's required to use matrices often. Like, if you never learned how they worked and then you just put it in a calculator all the time, when there's a problem, you're going to be fucking clueless. So, and CSS is a bit funny because it's not like really a coding language. It's, you just kind of like naming attributes and trying to make everything work together, and things start not working and it gets a bit fucky, and it's not like a logic flowing functions and stuff. It's kind of like sometimes there's a bit like if that then do this, but really not that often.
Yeah.
So at least in my experience. And then my second answer is just like AI does kind of suck at CSS. Like, it's good at doing like a single button. If you make it do something quite simple, like, I could make this button grey and give it round corners or something, fine. But then that's not hard to do yourself either. So it's like really not hard.
What are the kind of tasks that it's failed at?
So design me an entire header that has this function, this function, this function.
Yeah.
It sucks. Honestly, it gets it wrong, and you tell it what's wrong with it, and you try and get it to fix it. It doesn't work. And then what you end up with is a fat CSS like script that doesn't really work very well, and you paste it in, you have no idea how it works, and it starts fucking with the rest of your website. So then you have to go back and start giving all of your elements like IDs and making it all specific to,
Yeah.
and it just becomes a mess. So it's much better to understand how it works, and just it's easier. So at the moment, I'm sure one day it'll be good enough to just do it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I had this experience. I was showing you before we started recording that like I got ChatGPT to build me like quite a basic program over the weekend. Doesn't really, don't need to explain exactly what it is, but that was kind of a similar problem I experienced just with Python coding. Was like if you get it to change a detail, it will rewrite some of the code completely differently. Like it will send you back
nuts when it does
it will send you back the whole program, and then some of the functions will be completely different. And you're just like, oh, well, this is a pain in the ass because now I have to like check every line to make sure like this function still does the same thing and blah blah blah. And it screws my head because I'm not really a coder, right? So I was just like, this is a ball ache, and I can see why past a certain point it would just be quicker to do it yourself for a lot of tasks and not use the AI tool. Have you? I pay for the ChatGPT Premium, and I wonder you could
how much better? Yeah,
because it's got this new one called GPT-01, and it takes way longer to think. Like it thinks for like a minute or like 30 seconds or something before it gives you an answer. But while it's thinking, you can click and it tells you what it's thinking about. And it's like I've worked out how to make the buttons on the header, and now I'm figuring out how to like make them change shape or size based on the interactions, like whatever issue you're trying to solve.
Maybe I'll send you a prompt and see if I can get it to work.
Yeah, do it.
I'll like describe my header, send it to it, and see if it does what I did.
Yeah.
Or not what I did, but make something work.
It's definitely more accurate, and it's good at getting really detailed responses, and apparently it's good at coding, but
yeah.
I've
heard it's the best one at coding at the moment.
Yeah.
So my third answer
Yeah.
is specific to the problem at hand, which is building my own website myself rather than using like Wix, Shopify, all that lot, is because I've seen businesses, specifically the business I work in at the moment, who use like the WordPress ecosystem, or they use like I know lots of lots of online stores end up using one of these like Wix or Shopify, and they grow and get fucked because they need like you get stuck in the ecosystem that you're in. I don't think probably Wix and Shopify, you probably just redevelop a website. I don't think they get that complicated. They might do. I don't know. Also, you're more limited on features. I can do anything I want on my website. You can build some really cool stuff if you have the code right in front of you, and you're a bit more limited if you don't, obviously. But it's a lot more effort for that like marginal gain. Like I'm sure the site that I'm building, I could build in Shopify way easier, way more quickly, and just get it online. But I don't want to do that because future businesses, that might not be possible, and I don't want to start out with that problem. So
cool.
I want to start out with that.
You're building up right from the floor, which is how you build a sturdy foundation, right? You're not trying to like skip through parts of it.
Yeah, unless I build a really shit website.
Well, it's going to take a long time before they're really good, right? But
yeah, we'll see. I think it's definitely for like the company I work at the moment. If they started out slightly differently, they'd have fewer problems now. So
interesting, yeah. And a lot those problems are very hard to undo the more you build on top of them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Interesting shit, man. What would you say the CSS is the main thing you're working on right now? Because I feel like we've talked about CSS quite a lot recently. HTML, just the kind of web dev shit.
Yeah, it's just like CSS honestly is really quite easy to do. Except the AI sucks it, so you actually have to do it yourself. But it's quite fun. Yeah, if you just do like the box model, you heard that? Like everything on the website is a box within a box within a box, basically. So a button is inside a span, inside a div or whatever.
Right.
Inside your main body and all this shit. So it's just like kind of using code to do graphic design. And I've been spending a lot of time doing that in the last couple weeks, just because that's actually like what building a website comes down to at a certain level. Like you can't build the whole site without doing any styling because you don't know where the features go and how the features are going to work together and things like that. So you have to do at least a bit, and then you can change it later if you like. I started shifting my focus yesterday towards doing like building the databases that it needs. So it needs a database for like the users, for all the products, for all the transactions, and so on. And somehow I'm going to have to link them up with an Excel spreadsheet that my mum can read. So like when an order comes through, we know what to do with it,
Sure.
rather than it being on like a PHP myadmin whatever the
Yeah.
fuck database.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably not too hard.
nah, it's for sure is doable.
CSV
But-
file into Excel, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm sure I can do it with PHP.
Yeah.
But databases, I need to learn more. So at work, I'm gonna have a good snoop around, see how they did it, because I can see if I can describe this. I hit this problem without trying to bore you, where when someone orders stuff on a web shop, you have to have like a row on the transactions table get entered with their like order number and then all the shit they bought. So how do you have all the shit they bought without changing the number of columns? So if they bought like 2 of product, 2 of wood, 3 of nails,
Right.
4 of string,
Right.
and then the next guy bought 3 of nails, 2 of string, and nothing else.
Yeah.
Like you start to have like a jagged array
Yeah,
going on,
Sure.
and it gets all fucky. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I can't see a way of doing it where every row is unique in terms of their order number is unique, and then it's a bit complicated.
That is complicated. I don't know. Would you just have to have one box with commas? And that
Yeah,
would
but
be
then
one-
it makes it really difficult to do the calculation on the total price.
Okay. Oh.
You might be able to. It could
Yeah.
be a solution.
Yeah.
But then your code gets a bit more complicated. And I don't think you want to be fucking with... Like, personally, I want that to be super straightforward. So, I don't know, dude. I'll figure it out. I don't know what the solution is right now. I'm sure next podcast we'll talk about it. I'll be like, yeah, dude, that was so dumb.
Yeah,
You just do it this way.
You found the solution, and
It's
now
definitely
it
a
seems
solved
obvious.
problem.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It must be. It must be. Ask ChatGPT. Honestly, I know that just seems like
yeah,
sort of
I
trite,
will.
but like
I haven't got around
I'm
to it
sure
yet.
if you define that problem and you just wrote like a big paragraph being like, this is the issue, and you made it really clear what the issue was, I'm sure it could tell you.
It'll
how to
probably be
solve
like, oh, Nike do this.
it. Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that sounds cool, man. I'm just I'm working on my bloody disc at the moment, but I've just decided I'm gonna work so hard at it, like harder than I've ever worked on anything in my life, kind of thing, over this Christmas. It's not due till April, but I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna try and get it pretty much done before I go back in mid-January, just so I can prove to myself that I can work that hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a case of like, the disc is not. Like, I don't want to do some kind of essay writing in the future. I don't want to be an academic. So it's not like a direct skill that I want to, like, foster in terms of, like, some grand vision for my life. The content, it's not like the thing I'm researching is going to somehow work its way into my later life either. It's just, like, the pure, like, hard work of just, like, I'm going to, like, attack this problem so hard just so that I have confidence to have to attack things that hard when I own a business or something, and I just need to like fucking work really hard. So that's what I'm doing. Nothing as exciting as coding, probably, but
It's just a workout for the brain.
Exactly. And just trying to get my brain jacked as fuck. Have that Arnold brain.
Yeah.
Um,
When you gonna? You should come over, bro.
yeah,
Do some mental training with me.
yeah, sure. We can just sit there, like you said, and just work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'd
And
like
you
that.
can show me a bit of code as well, maybe while you're at it. I'll be
Yeah, it
interested to see
depends. If I'm at work, or if I'm doing personal work. If you see what I mean.
Well, yeah, we can find a time when you're doing personal.
Either
work,
or.
though.
Yeah. I don't really care. But yeah, you should come around. It would be good as well because then we can just like put our phones in a room and be like, just work. We're just gonna work for like.
Yeah.
I bought a clock as well, like a stopwatch. I use that. It goes up to 90 minutes. I just spin that sucker on. Oh, I'm gonna work for 40 minutes undistracted. Hit that, and then I'm just focused until it beeps at me.
That's
It's pretty
great.
good.
I've been using this week, and I've used it intermittently for a long time. But the app Forest, you know, the one where like the tree
Oh
plants.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and you can't, if you go off the app, then the tree dies. And you can also do a pledge where you pledge like 10 quid, and if you go off the app, you lose 10 quid. Like it automatically gets paid out, and I'm like, I did that once and forgot, and then lost 10 quid. Yeah, it was pretty shit, but I completely forgot as well. It wasn't like I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna pay 10 quid to go on Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
I just like saw a notification, and
Opened
clicked
it.
the
Cost you
notification.
10 quid.
Yeah, because obviously if I'd gone onto my phone, just turned it on normally, rather than clicking on the notification, I would have seen the app and be like, oh, yeah, I can't do that. Because I just saw the notification, like boop, and then it was like £10 gone out of your account. I was like, fuck. So, but yeah, it's quite a good app actually.
Yeah.
Similar kind of, what's the word? Like, basis for what you're doing with the stopwatch. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's pretty cool. good way of getting deep work done.
Have you read that book?
I listened to it and I need to read it because I can't listen to books. It doesn't do anything.
Really?
I just forget. I don't know what the fuck's... Unless it was like... The one that I listened to was David Goggins, and it's only because it was just like a long podcast.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But the other ones that I've listened to, I can't remember them. I'm going to have to read them again. Too difficult.
Yeah, I've listened... The ones I really liked are the only ones I remember, and that's because I listened to them like 2 or 3 times.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
You might as well just fucking read it, mate.
Yeah, you might as well, to be honest.
It saves time.
It does. Although I ended up buying a lot of those ones anyway, but then I can't say I've read them cover to cover at any point. I just listened like 3 times to it, and that's how it has to stick. But there are loads of ones I listen to. I can tell a single thing that happened in the book.
You need to be, what was it? Reminded more than you need to be taught, mate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's what most self-help books are anyway. They're just reminders.
Yeah, like probably there's like 20% of most self-help books are all the same, and that's all the good stuff.
Yeah.
The rest of it's kind of like,
and
maybe
also
it
like
helps in some
a lot of the time, the
situations.
authors do the same book again and again. Like how many John DeMartini books do you need to read to get the point? One, really, to be honest. Like the other ones, I'm not bashing him. It's just the other ones are all going to be like very similar premises. So yeah.
But then if you're like a devotee, you fucking love it. You want to read them all.
That
really
goes back to what we're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not a problem with it. I'm not saying it's a scam, but you don't necessarily need. You're not going to like pick up some like thing that's going to change your life in like the 3rd John DeMartini book that you've read. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I even started to get this with Hormozy. I listened to enough of it. I'm like, fuck, he's just saying the same shit. But it's because quote, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
He's not doing the wrong thing.
No.
By repeating the message.
No. If the message is good, it should be repeated.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
All right. Should we sign off?
Let's sign off, man. Yeah, that's a good solid hour and 10 minutes. Not too bad. Hour and 6 minutes. Sorry, I'm blind.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. All
good
right,
to
guys.
see you, buddy.
Yeah, mate. Really good to see you. Nice to be back in person. Hope everyone enjoyed listening.
In the shed.
Yeah. Good little podcast. Yeah, stay tuned for more business and philosophy chat.
And porn stars.
Yeah, we'll do that at some point. All right. Peace, boys.
Peace.